This is Ed from the Pixel Tunes Radio Video Game Music Podcast. You're listening to Two Dudes and a NES.
Hey, Justin.
What's up, man?
I thought I would start this one off with a little disclaimer. You care if I do that?
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, if you're a new listener, and this is your first episode, and you're here to hear about the NES, then you may want to back out and go listen to a different episode. I'm in the process of moving, and I don't have any of my NES stuff out, and I couldn't play a game for this episode. So we tossed around some ideas about what we could do, you know, and in amidst all the moving that I'm doing and not having a game or not having any accessories to play with or anything like that. So we decided we would tell our story of like just some funny stories about Justin and my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And we're calling it Dude Story and NES Bromance, you know, just to kind of be clever.
Right.
Or at least we think it's clever. Everybody else is probably rolling their eyes. But we may be talking about some NES games, probably like some that we played as part of our friendship, but probably won't be getting in depth into any NES games this episode. So if you're here for NES games, you may want to go listen to a different episode. If you're one of our faithful, you may like this episode. You may not. If you don't like this episode, just stop and don't listen to it. Yeah. So, but we'll be back with another episode about an NES game fairly quickly after this one, I imagine. So
we're really just doing this to see who really cares about us.
Right.
So we're going to see how many people download this episode. We'll be like, well, 3 people have downloaded it, so nobody cares.
When I look and see that there's 2 people downloaded it, and I see that they're both one's in Harrogate, Tennessee, and the other one's in Leonard City, Tennessee, I'll be like, okay. It's just Justin and I downloading and listening to this.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. We may get some downloads of people and then they just never listen to it, so we may get some fake downloads, so that's okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, people do subscribe.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe people feel sorry for us and listen to it anyways.
Mm-hmm. Right. All right.
So how do you want to start this off?
Well, we could just start off that it was 1990. So Mike and I have been friends for a long time. Our friendship started back in middle school. Mike went to a different elementary school than I did, and then in the town that we're from, there was kind of, I guess, where Mike went to elementary school, he could either choose to go to Loudon or Lawrence City. His dad was teaching, I guess, at Loudon at the time, so he came down to Loudon, which is where I was, and then I think we had a meet. You knew Josh before me, right?
I actually knew Carl. Because he lived in my neighborhood. So I had met Carl before moving.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you knew Josh before maybe you came to middle school.
I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't think I did, though.
Okay. Well, you knew Carl, and that's a treat in itself.
Yeah, sure is.
Was Carl pulling Carl's before Carl was in like high school, or was that just like?
I don't know when Carl started pulling Carl's. I think he's been pulling Carl's all his life.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
Especially, I mean, think about it. When he was a baby, he was pulling all kinds of Carl's.
That's true. But Carl is a friend of ours, a mutual friend.
Hey, let's stop there. I know we said that we were going to try to just let people figure out what this pulling a Carl thing is, but I think this episode would be a good one to tell what pulling a Carl really is, because not very many people will listen to this episode, and it'll be a treat to find out what pulling a Carl is.
Okay. So you want to do the honors on the pulling a Carl, or you want me to?
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, so let's just say, for sake of saying, we were playing sports outside, all right?
Mm-hmm.
We were actually playing a game that we invented, which maybe we'll get into on another episode, or maybe later on this episode, I don't know. But
we've invented a lot of games throughout the years.
yeah, we did. But we were playing sports outside. Let's say it's football or something, or wiffle ball. It's basically wiffle ball. So say it's wiffle ball. We're playing wiffle ball. We're in the heat of battle. I don't know how old we are, probably 8th grade or something. But we're in the heat of battle, and Carl says, he's like, time out. I got to go poop.
I mean, I don't know. It's something I don't know. I don't get that either. It's like when I'm exercising, I have never had to stop in the middle of an exercise and go poop. Like when I'm active, it just doesn't happen. I don't know. I think about it's like which physiologically, not to get too technical here, but physiologically, you're not supposed to poop when you're active because your sympathetic nervous system is supposed to be active, and that's supposed to shut down digestion.
Yeah. Maybe he just wasn't that active.
Yeah, maybe he was just being lazy. But yeah, he was sweating awful hard, and
Yeah.
it was
I don't
just
know.
like,
Well, see, and the thing is, we wouldn't call it pulling a car off this happened just once, right? It's not a special case. It seemed like from that moment forward, every time we would do this, somewhere in the middle, Carl would stop and say, "Wait, guys, hang on, I gotta go poop."
right. Okay.
So it was a reoccurring thing.
There was another. It wasn't called pulling a Carl, but it was called. I guess it was just called a Carl, which is in the same game. So in the same game, when your team is batting, you can just to
Okay,
kind of
we probably just need to describe the game. Okay, so when we were in middle school, we invented this game called Melon. All right. I don't know why we called it Melon. It seems like a dumb name now, looking back. But we were middle school kids, so we called it Melon. Anyways, it's wiffle ball, but it's when you're on instead of waiting on offense for your turn to take a bat, your fellow offensive players could be out in the field stopping the defense from getting the wiffle ball and tagging you out.
But you can't grab the ball. You have to kick the ball.
You have to kick the ball away. You can't grab it. The defense can grab it and throw it, but the offense has to kick it away. And they can also, soccer-style contact, like shoulder bumps and whatnot.
Right.
And the idea is when you hit the ball, you don't stop. You just run around all the bases and try to get home. So there's no stopping on bases. That's basically the game.
Right.
In a nutshell. That's the game we invented. Well, we also had another rule that got implemented strictly due to Carl. I guess it was also called pulling a Carl, but maybe in a different.
I think it was just called a Carl.
It was just called a Carl. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an instant out because you accidentally pick up the ball on offense because you're supposed to only be able to kick it. But Carl seemed to be the only person that didn't understand that rule, so he just.
Carl was a rebel.
The Carl, picking up the balls, called the Carl. This is suddenly turned into just an episode about Carl.
Right. Right.
I hope he listens. We're gonna have to get him on the show soon so that
he can defend himself.
Yeah, so he can defend himself because this is probably the 3rd or 4th bashing of Carl. Carl's a great guy. We all love Carl. Yeah. The best thing about Carl is that he will take this punishment and still be your friend. Everybody's got one of those friends, I imagine, right? Who will just take being made fun of in a playful way because we love Carl. We would never want to say anything really bad to him, but he takes the playful punishment and just laughs it off. So he's that guy.
Yeah, right. And then, I was trying to think. I don't know.
Yeah, so anyways, the pulling a Carl is, we always make fun of anytime you have to poop during the middle of anything.
It's called pulling a Carl.
Pulling a Carl. So like during the podcast, if I thought Justin had to run off and poop, I would say, "What'd you do, pull a Carl?"
There was an episode, I can't remember which one it was now. Maybe one of our listeners will remember. Where I did have to say, let's take a break, which, if you listen to the show, we don't normally take breaks.
Right.
And then we took a break, and then I came back and I said, I was pulling a Carl, for those of you who may know. Well, now you know.
Yeah, there you go.
What was happening. So, I think we always, didn't we tell on an earlier episode the Carl throw-up story?
Yeah, but I bleeped his name out, so. Good job outing him.
Threw him out again. Threw him under the bus. We can edit that out. But
I'll try to remember to edit that out. But yeah, we did tell us. That's enough about Carl. This is supposed to be about us. All right.
Okay. So we played. Our friendship started in middle school, and then we started hanging out, and it was always kind of shaped around video games. So in middle school, we're talking Nintendo 64 days, really. That was kind of their heyday. I think Nintendo 64 came out when we were in 5th grade.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think I explicitly remember having a conversation about the Nintendo 64, a debate, will you, in 5th grade against another one of our friends named Drew. And he was telling me that the PlayStation was far better than the Nintendo 64 because it was ran off of CDs, and the CDs could hold way more information than a cartridge could. And I remember this conversation to this day, and I was like, no, the cartridge is still far better. Because let me tell you something, and I've had this happen many of times to video games that I've had on
Let
CD.
me tell you something, Drew.
Yeah.
That's how you said it, right?
Right. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but when I would later buy PlayStations and things like that ran off CDs, when these things get scratched, I mean, you're done. And then the cartridge is pretty hardy. You know, you can't, unless you like leave it out in like a 110-degree weather day, or step on it, and like with a pretty good amount of force, your cartridge is going to be okay. But the CD, man, you drop that thing and it gets a little scratch. Next thing you know, your game.
And did I ever tell you about last time we moved, or last time I moved my retro games into my house? I found a box of like old toys, like Ninja Turtle toys.
Yeah.
And I was digging through the Ninja Turtle toys, and in the bottom I found my copy of Super Metroid for SNES. And I was ecstatic because that game is like one of the best games on Super Nintendo, and it's also worth some money. But I pulled it out, and I looked at the back of it, and there was a huge hole in it where the plastic had been broken. It was probably like the size of a $50 or something. A hole in the back of it, and I was like, "Oh crap, this thing's not going to work." I popped it in, started right up. No problem.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I just recently found all my Ninja Turtles. I gave them to my daughter, and my daughter is now obsessed with Ninja Turtles and is going to go as a Ninja Turtle for Halloween.
Awesome. I saw that on Facebook.
My parenting duties are done.
You've accomplished one of your main goals.
Yes,
Ninja Turtles.
Right.
Is she going to go as a Venus de Milo or whatever?
You know,
terrible turtle from the live action.
Oh man, don't get me started on the live action Ninja Turtles. But are you talking about the live action, like the ones where they were in concert?
No, the Next Mutation, the one that came out on TV, is like one season. Had a fifth girl Ninja Turtle.
I don't think I ever even watched that.
Yeah, don't. It's really bad.
I'm terrified that I've seen the live action Ninja Turtles concert style.
I kind of like it. I think it's all nostalgia for me because I went to it as a kid. But
we'll see. I never went to it, and then I think you put a few months ago now when they were on Oprah, and I was like, oh my god. And I remember watching it on Oprah and thinking that it was awesome back then, and now it's like, oh wow. But
they fight Shredder with music, the power of music.
And then Shredder comes in the back of the audience, and it's awful. But anyway, so
N64. I remember playing a lot of the AKI wrestling games. Aki, right? Like what was it? No Mercy or no WCW versus NWO Revenge.
Yeah, that was the game that I had.
Yeah, that's the one we played that one all the time.
That was a lot of fun. Those games, like, I need to bust out the N64 sometime, and really, because I had a pretty substantial game collection for the N64, and I need to bust out the old WCW NWO again. course, we played a lot of Super Mario 64 and Wave Race. Remember Wave Race?
Oh, Wave Race is my favorite. That's the one I want so bad for them to bring back out on the Wii U. Because I think that would be, even if they just remade either Wave Race or the one that came out for GameCube, whatever it was, if they just did an HD upgrade to it or something and just remade it exactly how it was, I would love it so much. I would buy it 10 times. Oh, well, maybe just once, but.
I just wonder, like, I know that there's got to be licensing issues, and I just don't know. But, like, there's certain games that just don't come out for the Virtual Console. It's just like, and you know they're popular games. Like, I still think Tetris is not available, right, on the Virtual Console.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I've looked for it several times because I know that it's one Felicia wants, and of course, I've just got the Wii, but I guess it's the same.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the same. I don't know.
They just don't release it on Virtual Console.
Yeah, I don't know who owns the license to Tetris right now. Probably Russia. Probably Vlad.
It's Putin.
Yeah,
it's Putin.
That dang Putin.
He's holding on to it himself. Nobody else is getting this. Right. So, anyway, we started, I guess we really started becoming friends when we become teammates on youth basketball team.
Oh yeah. I almost forgot about youth. Actually, you're right. I did know Josh, and I did know John, and I may or may not have met you, but I did know a lot of people before I moved to middle school, because in 5th grade is when the youth basketball thing started. I wasn't on your team in 5th grade,
right?
But I guess we kind of knew each other from playing against each other. So I did know a lot of people before. So since 5th grade, I've known you guys. So.
And we were on the same team, and I think that team was called the Breakers. Was that the Breakers year?
Yeah, it was. We had the blue jerseys with the red writing.
Right.
Breakers.
And my dad was the coach, and he called you Gunpowder.
Yeah. I wish that nickname would have stuck better than.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool nickname.
That was a pretty cool nickname.
Gunpowder. So Dad just called him that because Michael's kind of a quiet guy as compared to what you guys know on the show, but he was a kind of a hustler, got a lot of rebounds, so Dad called him Gunpowder.
I still am kind of a quiet guy, but this podcast, it would be boring if I didn't talk.
It'd be funny. We could the introvert hour, just a couple of introverts doing podcasts.
Both of us just kind of.
We have a guest on, and the guest is just like, "Are you guys going to ask me questions, or are we just going to?" Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe.
Right. Oh man. So then let's fast forward to high school.
Okay, and also I think you know when you moved better than I do, but at some point you moved almost next door to me, right?
I was 16, so I think that was mine. I think that was not until the summer between sophomore and junior year.
Okay, so I'm jumping ahead then because we got some tennis to talk about before we get to that. Right.
Now, freshman year of high school was a lot of fun. First of all, you wanted to play football freshman year, right?
I did, yeah.
So you played football freshman year, and then somewhere around freshman year, you started to kind of not like it.
Well, because, let's see, let me just, for those that can't see me or don't know what I look like, I'm about 5'9"-ish, about 160 pounds, somewhere in there. In high school, I was a little bit heavier, so I was maybe 180, 190 playing football because I was lifting a lot of weights and stuff. But still, under 200 and under 6 foot tall, and I was playing lineman and linebacker and getting clobbered. Just getting clobbered left and right. So I didn't really like football that much because I was going up against these guys that were well over 200, up in the 6 foot somethings, and just basically knocking the crap out of me every day. So I didn't really like football that much.
Yeah.
But I didn't know until I tried.
One of my favorite pastimes, though, is you thought, freshman year, I'm going to, it was a fun ride, but I'm done with that. Little did you know you weren't done with it.
No.
You were going to be forced to play another year. And probably my favorite thing about sophomore year was coming up to you and be like, football practice today, and you just roll your eyes and beat your head up against the locker. Oh my God. Not again. I can't do this anymore. But
imagine Friday Night Lights, the TV show or something, or just any football that you see on TV where people are, and then imagine the guy just standing there and just crying as people run him over. I don't know.
Well, it's one of those things, and I'm not bashing you at all when I say this. This may sound like I'm making fun of you, but I'm not. But it's one of those things when you play sports and you're not really the one that's getting a lot of playing time, but you're having to go through the motions of practice, and you're busting your butt, and it's like, but come Friday, you're going to be standing on the sidelines. It's got to be it's just tough. I mean, I was there. I played basketball, and I was a bench warmer in basketball, and I had to go through the practice and all the running and all that, and it was like, this really isn't really worth it anymore.
Yeah.
Then we started playing tennis, and
tennis, yes, that was good.
And then tennis was another one that was kind of started off a little funny for you because me and Josh Crabman were going to play tennis. And you're like, oh, I'm not playing tennis. No way. And then your dad comes up and was like,
no, actually, I think I had said, yeah, tennis sounds all right. Yeah, maybe. And then you said, well, practice is tomorrow. I said, okay.
Yeah, it starts tomorrow.
So I told Dad, I was like, I'm thinking about playing tennis maybe. And then the next day when it was time to actually start practice, I was like, nah, I'm not going to play tennis. Mm-hmm. Little did I know that my dad said, oh, yes, you are. You said yesterday that you were thinking about it, so you were definitely playing tennis on the tennis team.
I said, well, good at things.
Yeah, I said, well, I didn't even bring a racket or anything, Dad. I mean, I had a racket. I had bought a racket because I had played, a smattering of tennis growing up. I had bought a racket, and I had a racket, and it was at the house. And Dad said, don't worry, I'll go get your racket. So here I go to tennis practice, the first day of tennis practice, and I'm waiting on my dad to bring me my racket back, which was a modern racket, and it wasn't like a super expensive racket, but it was a modern racket, a racket that you would use nowadays, right? He goes home and he brings back like this old wooden racket, like something you would see somebody playing with in the 40s or something.
Oh my gosh! You know how tennis rackets were made back then? They were almost like badminton rackets.
Yeah,
I mean, they're really little slim and like a little small head at the top. It's like, oh man, that was great.
And he just handed it to me, and I said, "This is not my racket." He said, "Yeah, well, you'll make do."
Well, it is today. So
I think Coach Collins actually let me use his racket that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what's funny is the coach was like, "Oh my gosh." The coach is probably at this point does not understand that your dad brought the wrong racket. He's like, oh boy, look at this guy. I gotta give him my racket.
Does this guy not know that racket's not gonna do him any good?
But tennis was probably one of the more fun things that we did in high school because we went on the road trips, and our high school, I guess, didn't put a lot of money into tennis, so we kind of had our parents had to drive us.
Your mom did a lot of driving for us, which is
right.
Nice. Thank you, Janine, if you're listening.
And we'd have to drive. We always went to Harriman, which is like about an hour away. And those road trips were pretty fun. It was always Crabman and us, basically. Mm-hmm, right.
And to preface a little bit, because this is something. Josh was always obsessed with cars, and still is. He loves cars. He loves all kinds of cars. He likes to talk about cars. And anytime we'd go on a road trip, he'd be like, "Oh, did you see that car? Like if a Mustang, not a Mustang. He's not a Mustang, but like if something fancy drove by. I don't know, like a Ferrari happened to drive by, which was very rare. But he would always point out, "Oh, did you see that?" And so this was during our tennis trip. So eventually, Justin and I. This really got under Josh's skin too. We would every time a transfer truck would drive by, Justin and I'd be like, "Oh, did you see that truck? Man, that's a nice truck."
That's one of those new ones. Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
That's one of them Volvos. Wow, that's a nice truck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh Josh. And Josh would get so mad.
Yeah, he would. But he would get Josh mad, which means he wouldn't do anything. He would just huff and puff a little bit.
Josh mad and Carl mad was a little different. Carl mad was always like, Carl would just kind of shrug it off. Josh would get a little frustrated.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, Carl would just not get mad. If he ever did get mad, he would actually get mad. Josh would get mad pretty quick, but he just would. I don't know. He wouldn't do anything. He would just kind of be like,
Oh man, poor guy.
Yeah. I like it. You know, I'm realizing something as we're talking about this. I think we are definitely the only ones that are going to get a kick out of this episode, except for maybe Josh and Carl so far. We haven't talked about John much yet, but I'm sure John will get a kick out of it too. We'll get
John too is coming. So so in high school, and one thing I remember about high school is we had this teacher, and his name was Mr. Foster. Probably one of the more influential teachers in my life. I don't know if Michael would concur.
I definitely agree, yep.
But, at the time, he was definitely not the most liked because he was a tough teacher. All right, one of the more difficult classes that, definitely the most difficult class in high school. And even going into college, one of the more difficult classes. Well, basically, to understand this class, his tests were basically tests that you'd make like a 50 on. They were almost designed that way and if you made a 50 on it, that doesn't mean you were going to fail the class. It just means you had to do more work in the form of book reports and projects.
It was a history class, by the way. It was American history class.
Yeah. So the first book report comes around, and me and Mike, I think we'd already had a test, and the test, this is when we realized that the tests weren't going to go well in that class, and we were going to have to put in a lot of work. So the first book report comes by. Well, I just happened to buy, at a yard sale, the original PlayStation. Now, this was kind of Mike and I's first little foray in retro gaming, because at the time now, we're talking PlayStation 2 is in its heyday. Xbox is out there.
Yeah, of course, we've been doing retro gaming, but it had not been retro when we were doing it, right?
Right. Well, yeah, right. But I'm saying this is the first time where we said we're not gonna instead of playing the new game system, let's play the old game system.
Right.
I got a PlayStation at a yard sale. So it's like the night before the book report's due. And, of course, we hadn't read the book. But we were going to do, Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer. One of us was going to do Huck Finn, one was going to do Tom Sawyer. And we thought, well, we can wing it. And so we decided, okay, we'll come to my house. We'll play some PlayStation. And then we'll write our book reports.
Just a little bit. And then we'll write our book reports, right.
Well, then that turned into, okay, we played PlayStation for about an hour. And we're like, well, you know what? Let's go rent a game.
Right.
So it's we'll still get to these book reports. I mean, it's not even 6 o'clock yet. We're fine, but we need to go rent a game because this is not. I only had one game that came with it at the yard sale. So we're like, let's go rent some games. So we go to Pick a Flick. We rent a game. We come back home. We keep playing. Next thing you know, it's it's getting around 7 or 8 o'clock. It's after dinner, and we're like, well, we've got just a couple hours we really have to do these book reports, or we could just play more PlayStation, and then we could just we'll make it up.
He won't know. His tests are only impossible. There's no way he'd know if he actually read this book, right?
So, long story short, we ended up just playing PlayStation for the rest of the night and didn't do the book report. And probably a big mistake, because so Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer were the smallest books that you could do in this class to do a book review on. Well, that first book review, everybody did Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, except for me and Mike. We didn't turn one in, of course.
Right. Basically, the only ones that you could get cliff notes on too, because most of those were obscure books.
Mm-hmm. And so we did so everybody else did Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer, and then Mr. Foster was like, well, I'm tired of reading Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer, so I'm taking those books off the list. And so me and Mike essentially screwed the pooch here on our opportunity to do Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn and have an easy book to do, and because we wanted to play PlayStation.
Yeah. So, and I think you could do 2 a year or something. So yeah, we missed our opportunity to do the 2 easiest books.
So
you got stuck with John Jakes.
Oh man, John Jakes. If anybody out there knows who John Jakes is, that man is he may even be a good writer. I don't know. I'm not going to give him another chance. I'm not going to read another one of his books. Because in high school, I hated his books. Because John Jakes, another preface to this is John Jakes was a historical fiction writer, and he wrote, and there was like 20 John Jakes books that you could do book reviews on for Mr. Foster's class, and each one was about 800 pages long. I mean, they were like just thick books. And
no cliff notes for these books.
No cliff notes at all, and they were horrible. And yeah, so, and you had to do like 2 a year. Like, he made you do John Jakes books because they were so big and thick. Yeah,
he awesome. Really liked John Jakes. I'm not sure. And if anybody out there listening knows who John Jakes is, I would love to hear your take on John Jakes, because, and if somebody likes him, I would even more so like to hear your take on John Jakes. So.
I mean, he's got to have fans. You know he does.
Yeah, if he's written so many books, surely somebody out there likes him.
Besides, some guy, this history teacher from Loudon High School is keeping John Jakes in business.
Yeah, really.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy.
So back to tennis real quick, all right?
Okay.
I was always, there's only 6 guys that played on the tennis team, right? For our first 2 years, they kept it at like 6 people. I was always number 6, like the worst one on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I had developed a nickname. I don't remember if I gave it to myself. I think I did give it to myself.
Yeah, you gave it to yourself.
Bottom of the barrel, Mr. Suck, because I was really bad at tennis. Although I kept getting better, I was still, because everybody else also got better, I was still the worst on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Until one fateful day, I think it was junior year, our good buddy John joined the team. And he was really, really bad at tennis. And it just made my day.
Yeah.
Because I was no longer the worst person on the team.
John took over the new role of bottom of the barrel, Mr. Suck. And the thing about John was, I don't know if John's more competitive than you, or if it's just like his personality, but John gets really frustrated at being the worst. And that was also kind of a point of laughter, was John got very aggravated a lot.
Yeah, I was very competitive, but I was more competitive during the matches,
Right.
Once I was outside of the match, just being last didn't really bother me that much. I just wanted to try to get better. John, he got frustrated when he would lose, and he got frustrated just by the fact that he was the worst.
Yeah.
And he tried so hard to do something about it, and just never could break through.
Well, at this point, it's funny because John was a decent basketball player. He was good at other things, and then he came out to tennis, and it was like, well, I don't know what he expected. We had been playing for like 3 years at this point, and he just was going to come out here and try it out, and then he becomes bottom of the barrel, Mr. Suck, and he gets mad.
Yeah, I don't know. See, we've been playing for like 3 years under a great coach, because Coach Collins was a really good tennis coach. He was like I guess he played in college and stuff.
Oh, so yeah.
He was really good at tennis, and he was a really good coach. And then when John comes in, Collins leaves, and we get a new coach. So John doesn't even get the good coach to coach him up. So.
Our new coach was mainly just a coach that was like, I'm just going to rank you guys and let y'all play. And I didn't really do much coaching. I do remember first day that he coached. Oh, man, this was great. I remember we spent like 15 minutes stretching. And it's like, I mean, this is like, I understand that stretching is important, but like, this is practice time, and we're going to spend that actually just doing stretches. And then there was at some point where he was like, oh, you really need to stretch this out right here. And then he was like, if I had a nickel for every time I ever heard that. And everybody was just like, what? This is like first day, and it's like, oh boy, we got like a pervert.
Oh man.
Oh man. Yeah. So, but
I think high school was also the time when we first decided to try to beat Jaws.
Was it? Yeah, that was high school.
At some point during high school, we decided we're going to beat Jaws.
Yeah, because I think at some point we were talking about old NES games, and then we both realized that neither one of us had ever beat it. And so we tried to beat it, and I think we only like reserved a night to do it this time.
Yeah, we didn't. Well, I think we tried it, got super frustrated, and just quit.
Mm-hmm.
And then did not return again until college, which I guess we could go ahead and kind of jump to college. The first year of college, we went to different colleges.
Right. Yeah.
But then the second year of college, we actually roomed together in a dorm.
Right.
Room 1111, I believe.
1111, and one of my favorite. Just go ahead and talk about 1111. So, and you don't have this phone number anymore, so I don't care to say it. But we ordered late night from this place called Jimmy John's. Well, it's a chain, so people probably know what it is. Sandwich place, and it was like 3 a.m. I mean, it was like, and they were open 24 hours. So it's like, and Mike calls, and of course Michael shares a name with a television character, Michael Kelso from the '70s show.
Yep.
And he has a phone number, and like the last 4 digits are like 7770. And we lived in room 1111 of this dorm.
My phone number was something like 771-7770. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something ridiculous.
Mike calls into Jimmy John's. It's like they needed a name. He says Michael Kelso. And then he gives him the phone number, which is all the sevens. And he was like, "Okay, where are we delivering this to?" And it's 1111. And the guy didn't want to deliver it to us. He thought we were just messing with him. But that was hilarious.
Yeah, it probably didn't help that we were also perhaps a little bit under the influence.
Mm-hmm. And we were laughing as all this was occurring. But yeah.
Oh wait, actually that backs me up. I did want to talk about one thing that we did in high school. This is stupid because kids always do this stupid prank call stuff. But I remember making prank calls, and I was just thinking when I was thinking about doing this episode, I was thinking about one that we did that was just awesome that I loved. Was when we called into McDonald's. And it was talking about our order being messed up. Okay, I want you to pretend to be the McDonald's worker. Okay. Okay. I'll do the prank call.
Okay. I remember this. Yeah.
Okay. So ring,
Hello,
ring.
McDonald's. Hello, McDonald's.
Yes. I just came through the drive-thru, and I just got home, and I got home, and I was looking through my order. I tried to get me a Big Mac, and there's a freaking hot dog in here.
Oh, what? Are you serious?
Yeah. I didn't want a hot dog. I wanted a hamburger.
Oh my goodness! I'm so sorry. I mean, you can come back and you can exchange it.
No. I don't. I live like 30 minutes away. I live out in the boonies. I ain't coming back. Can you bring me a Big Mac?
Well, I'm sorry we can't deliver it to you, but I'm sorry that your order was incorrect.
Well, how did a hot dog even get in here? Do you guys even serve hot dogs?
No, I guess we don't. No, we don't.
This is at the point that I imagine that the McDonald's workers like looking up at the menu, like, do we have hot dogs?
Well, what was funny is the conversation went forever, and the person never realized that we're saying hot dog. McDonald's does not serve hot dogs. They just kept acting like the order was just incorrect. Like, they gave them a fish sandwich or something that McDonald's said that. No. We're saying hot dog, and they were just like apologizing, like it was. Just
they're just apologizing, like it was something that could actually have happened.
Like just like an everyday occurrence. Just I'm sorry, we didn't mean to do that. I don't know.
You bring it back in, we'll give you your Big Mac. Well, okay. What we should have done is went down to like the Jiffy Mart, got a hot dog, and got a Jiffy dog, and took it to McDonald's and be like, yeah, here's the hot dog.
Then they would have been forever confused. It's like, how did that happen?
All right. Anyways, you can jump back to room 1111.
Well, room 1111 was an interesting place. It housed a lot of shenanigans. Now this is when we start to really. Was it the first year that we were together, or the second year that we started to really bring the retro gaming in?
I think it was the second, because I brought up my NES and all my games the second year and hooked them up, and we just that was when we really, really got into it.
Yeah, I think how this started was you got a game for Xbox, or maybe I had the game. It had some extras on it, and it
Yeah,
had these
like Flicky.
yeah, I had these old school arcade games, and one was called Flicky, and I had never heard of Flicky until this time. But apparently,
I
it was a
hadn't either.
popular arcade game back a long time ago. And you basically collected these little baby birds, and you tried to collect them and not let these bad guys. I don't remember who the bad guys were, but they would like if they ran into you, they'd take the little birds away from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was I don't really remember the rules, but we had a game that went along with it.
Yeah, we had a drinking game that went along with it.
Mhm.
It had something to do with I don't know. It had something to do with what level you were on, plus however many birds you had when you died.
Right.
And so the idea was to try to get the level up high,
Mhm.
and so that the next guy, whenever he died on that level, he would have to, I don't know, something like that. But anyways, we turned it into a drinking game.
Right. And so, oh man, and that was a fun game. It was one of those games that was really just silly, but it was a lot of fun.
Well,
And,
what was fun about it was we could hang out and play it and not really think about it too much. We could talk about whatever we wanted to talk about, which is kind of the reason why a lot of retro games are fun anyways, because you can hang out. They don't take a whole lot of brain power.
right.
You can just hang out and you can chat and whatnot. But Flicky is what kind of inspired me to go home and get my old Nintendo, bring up all my games and stuff. And that's when Justin and I really sat down and Flicky inspired us to go back to retro games, and that's when we really started playing them. I can remember playing a lot of Base Wars with the robots.
We
the
played a
robot
lot
baseball.
of Baseball,
I love that
and
one.
we played a lot of the track and field game. What was
Yeah, we
that?
did play a lot of the track and field game.
Put your finger in a shirt and go side to side
Mm-hmm.
between A and B for the sprint. Now, the one that always frustrated me in that game, and we'll talk about it when we get to that game, but I always drowned in
And the swimming.
Swimming was so hard because it wasn't speed. It wasn't how fast you could hit A, B. It was a rhythmic thing.
Right.
And I guess I'm just a white guy with no rhythm, and my guy would drown every time. Just like, and we'd always get a good kick out of the fact that this guy was drowning because,
Well, it was a girl.
well, yeah, it's Olympic swimming. It's an Olympic swimmer, and they're drowning. Like, what if this really happened?
And the way they drown is funny too, because they like sink down and then their butt floats up and bobs above the water.
Right. Yeah. So we played a lot of that. We played just about every.
Yeah, we played everything. I can't think. I think we probably played through. I think we sat down and played through all the Mario games and didn't use any pipes or anything. Just played straight through them.
That's kind of where the speed run thing for us. We didn't now at the time. We didn't. I wasn't really aware of it. You may have been the speed runs on YouTube.
No, not really. I wasn't paying much attention back then.
Right, and we started the speed runs on Mario and trying to do the speed runs. Now
Which
we never
Justin and I don't have super awesome times at that game, but we're sub 10 minuters, so we got a little bit to brag about. We're not 5-minute guys, but in Super Mario Brothers 1, we're definitely sub 10 minutes. I think my best time is like 7 minutes and something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think we never tried it with like Super Mario 3 or 2. That'd just be silly. Because Super Mario 3, the 8th world still gives me nightmares. So.
Yeah, I wake up screaming at night at the thought of a hand reaching up and grabbing me and yanking me under the bed.
And then this was also when I decided, because I used to have Ghostbusters as a kid, and I don't remember what happened to it. And I decided to buy Ghostbusters off eBay. When we played Ghostbusters, that's when we kind of realized Ghostbusters wasn't what it was cracked up to be.
Wasn't very good. You can go back and listen to our Ghostbusters episode if you want to hear our deep thoughts on it. But basically, yeah.
Just to kind of sum it up, we both thought Ghostbusters was a good game from when we played it as kids, and then I bought it, off eBay, and we played it, and it was terrible. End of story.
Yeah. End of story. We also played. This is when we also tried Jaws again. This time we tried a lot of Jaws.
We really tried it. We put a Saturday where we was probably supposed to be studying or doing something else. Nope, we put the whole Saturday to beating Jaws.
And it's sad because it's an easy game. Now that I know what I'm doing, I can beat it in like 10 minutes. But we spent that entire Saturday trying to beat this game and never beat it. I don't even know. I don't even know why we did.
Well, we thought at the time that it was just a game where it was just long and you just had to shoot Jaws over and over and over and over and over again. Like we just thought that this is it, and we're just not doing it enough. And apparently, we were never going to do it enough.
Right. Because we didn't upgrade our ship and all this. And the funny part is, we're college kids. We should have been able to figure something out besides just shoot Jaws a whole bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we may have been also partaking in some other activities during this, but
we never even tried. That's what's funny. We never even tried to upgrade the ship because we didn't know. So we just kept chasing Jaws and hitting Jaws and just making sure, just get him again.
Yeah. So
it's a lot of fun.
That's one of the reasons why Jaws it holds a special place in our hearts because we spent a lot of time on it.
Mm-hmm.
We also played a lot of Tecmo Bowl. I imagine we played a lot of sports games. Are fun to play with other people, so I think we played a lot of sports games. American Gladiator, I remember playing a lot of that.
Oh yeah. And then Cliff, every time he came over, he wanted to play Tecmo Bowl. That got to where it was just like, okay, Cliff, come on.
What's funny is I remember Cliff wanting to come over and play Tecmo Bowl and always talking about how good he was at it, but he'd always come over and we'd both beat him. But every time, no matter what, there would be some reason why we beat him other than his skills. And then, but so he would still brag about coming over and going to beat us at Tecmo Bowl. And he's probably going to listen to this right now. Hear me out, fans. If he listens to this, listeners, if he hears this, he's going to think, no, I can beat him. And he's probably going to come up to Tennessee. I don't know where he is now. Is he back in Tennessee?
He's moving back to Tennessee.
Okay, so he's going to come back, and he's going to come try to beat us at Tecmo Bowl, and he's probably going to lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry to say.
It was just one of those things, too, though. It's not just the fact that he sucked and he thought he was good, but it was like every time he came over, he got to break out the Tecmo Bowl, and it was like, okay, Tecmo Bowl is an awesome game, but come on, can we play something else?
Can we play something else, please?
Yeah. Yeah, it was great.
And he had a way, and I guess still does, like commanding the room somehow, which I guess does him really well at his job. But for us, we were always like, yeah, I guess we can play Tecmo Bowl. When deep inside, we were always thinking, please, just any other game.
Yeah, any game. But nope, here we go, playing some Tecmo Bowl again. But
yeah, all right. So I'm going to fast forward through some of the rest of our days together because a lot of this is kind of when we moved into moved out of the dorms and moved into an apartment, and there's a lot of interesting stories there that may or may not be good for family friendly podcast. And that's good times. We didn't play a whole lot of Nintendo there. Most of the Nintendo happened in the dorm days. So then after we moved out into our apartment outside of the dorms, that's when Justin and I kind of split apart for a while because Justin went ahead and met a woman and got married and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So got after the 1 year at the apartment, I went and moved in with my now wife.
Went to live in a den of sin for at least a year.
Yeah. And then I got married. I was the first of any of our friends to get married. And then you were second, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And so we kind of just, we were still friends, but we just didn't see each other like, back in the day when we were living together. We saw each other every day. We hung out all the time. And then we just kind of, we were friends, but we just weren't around each other as much. And then
Yeah, we really, unfortunately, we only hung out like once or twice a year almost, because when you first got married, you moved off, you went to like the Bahamas to go to school or something, and then you came back, and then you lived in a different part of Tennessee going to school and stuff. So we really didn't even live close together. So we really didn't see each other much at all.
And our schedules, because at the time you were still you had one more year of school, and I had graduated, and you were going to school and working, and then I, just like a lot of people that graduate from college and don't have really any career plans, or you have career plans but those are kind of put on hold, and I'm working like 60 hours a week at a hospital, and it's like just time was never on our side, to get together. So, for that really went on for a couple years. So, and then fast forward on to about a year ago now.
Yep, about a year ago. I got this bright idea to start a podcast. The podcast that I started was called Retro Thought Pod, where we would just talk randomly about anything we wanted to, retro, right? Games, sports, whatever. And so I called you first and said, because I knew, I was like, this is something Justin would really be into. And you were gung-ho on board. And then I called some other people up who were less gung-ho, but they said, yeah, I'll do it with you. And so we started doing this Retro Thought Pod show, and Justin and I were almost always on it because we loved doing it. It was a lot of fun. And everybody else was just kind of randomly on it, and sometimes it was really a struggle to get other people on it. And it ended up to the point where it was basically going to end up just being Justin and myself over and over again. And so we said, you know what? Let's go back to the days when we were in the dorms and we were playing the NES religiously, and let's do a show dedicated to the NES. So we started doing that, but we kept Retro Thought Pod going for a while, and it just eventually got to the point where it was like, okay, Justin and I have 2 shows. Yeah. There's no point to us having 2 shows.
I remember like one in particular where it was one Saturday morning, and we were going to do it was when the Winter Olympics was going on, so last year, and we were like, well, let's do a Retro Thought Pod that's kind of centered somewhere around the Winter Olympics. So we wanted to do Cool Runnings, the movie. So, of course, we put out the feeder and said, any of our friends want to do the Cool Runnings episode? No response. It was like, well, we'll just do it, me and Mike. So we literally did a Two Dudes in the Nest episode, and then right after that recorded a Retro Thought Pod. And I think that was kind of the breaking point right there, where we realized...
That really was the moment we realized that Retro Thought Pod was pretty much dead.
Yeah, it was just us doing 2 shows. And as far as, not to say anything bad about Retro Thought Pod, but as far as audience listenership, Two Dudes was blowing Retro Thought Pod out of the water.
Yeah, we had only done maybe 2 episodes of Two Dudes, and it had already surpassed Retro Thought Pod by a lot. And there was probably 12 episodes of Retro Thought Pod, and it just, I don't know, man, it just never caught on for some reason. I really don't know. But the Two Dude show definitely, surpassed it, which kind of, I love Retro Thought Pod, and it was a lot of fun. And it's coming back, by the way. I think Chad's bringing it back. So that's good. But, I loved it. But can you hear that train?
I do.
Hey, well, we got a train now. It makes me think of Tadpog. We got a mascot train now in my new house. Anyways.
So, and to be honest, like, there's sometimes I miss Retro Thought Pod because there's sometimes I'd like to talk about other things rather than the NES. But, we could do minis. We do minis sometimes.
We do the minis, And then, But really, I think you and I do best at this show we do now. And I think it's a lot of fun. And it really, the whole podcasting thing, and especially this show now, this has been an awesome way for Jess and I to kind of reconnect.
Absolutely.
Because we have not hung out like this, like we do. I mean, every week we hang out and talk. Yeah. And we haven't hung out like this since we lived together, probably. So it's been really good.
And it's nice because with technology now, we can hang out through Google Hangouts.
Mm-hmm.
We literally live 2 hours away from each other, and but now we can just hang out without having to make the drive.
Right.
So,
Which we couldn't do until recently. I guess I don't know when Google Hangouts started, but it's been
probably like
really
8
nice.
years ago, and we're just coming around to it. So.
Okay. Yeah, but we're old, so it takes us a long time to adopt new technology.
Mm-hmm. All right. But the Two Dudes show was, again, another idea that was Michael's idea. He came to me and was like, Retro Thought Pod's going well. I think we should try. What was funny was, Michael said, Retro Thought Pod's doing well. We should try a spin-off show, with just the two of us, and we do the Two Dudes show. And then that spin-off show ended up being more popular than the original show. And I wonder, in history,
Should we spin this show off?
make another even more popular show. No, history, like, just thinking about like television, has there ever been a spin-off that was more popular than the original?
In television?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
That's where you typically see. That's where you typically see spin-offs. Was Frasier? Would you consider Frasier more popular than Cheers?
Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know if you could do that. I think they're almost equally as popular, though.
Yeah. What else would be a spin-off? Joni Loves Chachi's nowhere near Happy Days. Yeah, I can't. I mean, not off the top of my head.
Wasn't Sanford and Son a spin-off of something? Or was it All and Son?
If it is, I don't know what it was a spin-off of.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of something else. So, we're the only people in history to have ever done this.
Mm-hmm.
Spun something off and it been more popular.
Speaking of which, did you see the episode of Family Guy? It was like 2 weeks ago with the Simpsons Family Guy mashed up.
It was awesome. Did you watch it?
Yeah, it was hilarious. And did you see the part where they're flying in the plane and Bob from Bob's Burgers was in the plane?
Uh-huh.
And he was like, what's that guy doing? Homer's like, what's that guy doing here? And Peter's like, well, we have to carry him because he can't fly on his own. and he said, see what happened to that guy? And it was Cleveland, and he was crashing. So, yeah, the spinoff didn't work.
That was funny. I've not watched Bob's Burgers either. Have you?
No.
Probably not going to either.
No. I think outside of Simpsons, and I really don't even watch Family Guy that much anymore.
I don't either.
Because Family Guy is not, for me, having a little girl here, I can't watch Family Guy because it's not family friendly at all.
Right.
Simpsons is not so bad, but Family Guy
it's kind of towing the line a little bit better than Family Guy.
Yeah.
Has your little girl got to where she repeats lots of things?
Oh yeah.
She repeats everything at this point, right?
Huh?
She pretty much repeats everything at this point, I guess.
Oh yeah.
She's 4. She's about to be 5, right? In like a few months.
No, she's 3, about to be 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so she'll be 4 next April. But yeah.
Cool. So I guess that kind of wraps up our story here. We didn't have any feedback. We do have a call, but I may save it for next episode.
Yeah.
When we talk about a game again. It's about our Star Tropics game, so we may just save it for the next game episode.
That was a good episode, and I really got to commend you and Aaron on that. You did. It was a great episode. After I left, I had to go.
It was terrible until you left, but then once you left, it was just awesome.
Yeah, that's right. It was a good show, and I really enjoyed that show actually. But I had to leave if you haven't listened to that episode to do something. And Aaron,
it wasn't Carl though.
No, not a massive Carl. But, that would be funny. Like somebody had to leave during an episode and just stayed gone for like the entire episode.
Then we come back next episode and be like, man, that was the biggest Carl I've ever had.
Right. So, are we playing a game next week?
We are playing.
Nintendo set up?
I will get it set up this week. I don't know if you're watching the YouTube video. I'll show everybody this massive. This is going to be my video game and podcasting room, and it's full of giant boxes. Which most of which are full of games. So
Podcast material.
Podcasting material. On my cheat guides and stuff. My Game Genies.
USPCA. What does that stand for?
Something about the K-9 division of United States Police K-9 Academy or something. I don't know what it is.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right.
So, speaking of calls, if you want to reach us via phone and leave us an awesome voicemail about next episode or this episode or Star Tropics episode, you got a lot. You can call us about. That number is 775-7-RETRO-1 or 775-773-8761. And if you want to call Jimmy John's and order a sandwich via this number, or McDonald's. Hey, prank call McDonald's and leave this number and have McDonald's call us back. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great. And if you're under the age of 18, please get your parents' permission. I've always wanted to say that because you remember growing up, the little infomercials and the little things that were like for kids, but it was like, here, call this number. But parents, if you're under the kids, if you're under the age of 18,
parents,
be sure to get your permission.
Parents, if you're under the age of 18, what are you doing?
No, unfortunately, yeah, that's that's sometimes true. But anyway, so I just would throw that out there. We got anybody under 18, get your parents' permission.
Yeah. I think we do have a few under 18 listeners because we are family friendly.
Right.
I think they listen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So get your parents' permission. Hey, just so anybody knows, if you want to prank call us, that's fine. We'll take anything. We may or may not play it on the air if it's something that's really bad or something.
Yeah, don't curse. If you want to get if you want to get put on air, make it clean.
Yeah, we'll still listen to it, and we may get a good laugh out of it if it does curse, but it won't go on air. And or if it's like something's weird and sexual, I'm not sure why you would call and leave something weird and sexual, but don't do that if you want to get put on air. So there you go.
And of course, you can always find us on pretty much any social media outlet: Google Plus, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even, and all the other ones that are still out there, like MySpace. You can find us on any of them. Like us, follow us, and we also have we have a group now too, don't we? Not just a page, right?
Yeah, we have a Facebook group. So if you want to join that, I think you can join that. I'm not sure how to find it. It's called Two Dudes and an NES. It's more of a the Facebook page is kind of impersonal. It's like our show is posting things for people, but on the Two Dudes and an NES group, Justin and I actually are able to interact on a more personal level. Like you actually see us posting and us talking to people rather than the page doing it. Right. So that's, I don't know. It may be good, it may be bad. There's not a whole lot of activity on it right now. I don't know. There's a little bit. There's some guy was talking about having just got an NES, so that was kind of cool. But yeah.
Yeah, I read that story. That was pretty funny. That's pretty good. But all right, so
that's it. I hope people enjoyed this show.
Yeah,
I had fun talking with you. Even if nobody else listens, it was fun reminiscing a little bit.
Right.
And finally getting down to the nitty gritty about what pulling a car really is.
Yeah, I hope everybody is so satisfied now with the story of pulling a car.
Yep.
So.
Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna play some tunage for next week's game.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
See ya.